Hi, my name is Ira White. I'm from Ira White's Publications, and I'm an author. I've been wanting to do this for some time, but a whole bunch of factors has kept me from doing it, including a inability to make the audio work with when I'm taking video for some reason. But I think I've got that all straightened out, and I want to give you some poetry readings and put the poems in context so that you know a little bit about where they came from and excuse me, a little bit about where they came from and what inspired them and what they're about. Um, this is my first video on the web, by the way. It's probably a little clunky, a little I don't know, amateurish, but we're going to do the best we can in this situation. And the first story I'd like to, or the first poem I'd like to read you is called "The Smile Store." And this was written about one of my daughters. And it was back in the 80s when she was 2 or 3 years old, and we'd been playing together in the living room. And I think the poem pretty much is self explanatory. The Smile Store. It was a brown paper bag you brought me, with fat little legs that trundled across the floor. Into it went a plastic stick, 2 blocks, and a very subcompact car. You smiled when I asked you to sign the receipt, but signed anyway, a stubby finger dipped in invisible ink. And when I held my hand out for a tip, you laughed and giggled, then laughed and giggled some more when I melted at the tiny kiss placed in my waiting palm. Then it was one chubby arm raised and 5 fingers opening and closing as you said, "Bye bye, Daddy," and left with the goodies bought at the Smile Store. The next one I'd like to read was done fairly recently, five years or so ago, 5, 6 years. Time is getting to where, have being retired, you go into a time warp. Anyway, this is written for a friend of mine who passed away a few years ago. He and I wrote a book together, called it uh, Tennessee Tears, and we had a business together. Dinner to your door. We were delivering food to people. And when he passed away, it kind of left a hole in my life. So here's Rock in My Shoe. You were the rock in my shoe, sometimes irritating me beyond belief. The rock that could never be found merely by removing the coverings on my feet. You filled my receptive ears with more corn than an Iowa farm. I miss those silly, amusing jokes and your keen observations, surely different from most folks. You told me your story, then pestered me until I wrote it into a book. Ah, the things you caused me to do, the off the wall words you spoke, they gave my ego a dent, yet rarely said in anger, and never with malicious intent. Then one morning I awoke to find you no longer there. Like a puff of smoke, you vanish in the clear air. All that remains of you are memories and your last joke. This morning, I walked down a gravel path to feel the stones scrape against my feet, trying to capture fleeting memories before they too are gone. Okay, so my last poem here, I was thinking maybe I wouldn't do it, but I'm going to go ahead since we've only been on 4 minutes and 40 seconds. So I have in my life done a lot of different writing, and my poetry reflects that. You can see from the first 2 poems that each one is totally different. And This next one is totally different from the others. And not just because it's separated in years, it's just the way they come out. They're all different. And this poem was written back in the late 60s when I was in high school. And I was studying public speaking and debate. And we had a question that had to do with the Vietnam War. And I'd done a lot of studying into that. I came across a person that became one of the most feared people, or was the most feared people of that era. And that was J. Edgar Hoover, who was the head of the FBI for years and years. I mean, he owned that office. And he had a book on everybody. And he held that book over their heads to get what he wanted. And he had a lot of different ways of doing that, too. The funny part about it was that while he was into everybody else's secret, he had a secret himself that he liked to cross-dress, and he was also gay. And they didn't discover that till the day he died. So anyway, I was pretty disturbed by this guy, and I wrote this poem that's dedicated to J. Edgar Hoover. It's called It, the Control. Now I lay me down to sleep. There it is. Can you hear it? My soul to keep. There it is again. Louder. Closer. And if I die, creeping down from high places, sneaking under locked doors. There, the phone is ringing. I told you so. Don't answer or it will come in through the wires. Our Father who art... No, incantations will do you no good. Pull a blanket over your head. That will serve you better. What is it? Are you crazy? It's big and small, hard like steel, and it flows like diarrhea. Wires, there are wires running all through it. Transistors, converters, microchips, 1,000 eyes and ears and mouths. Haven't you seen it? Fat cats, big bucks, gunpowder, military muscle, FBI, CIA, Ford builds a better American way, pig shit, hot air, and used condoms, and its innards and its tentacles reach through the crack under your door, and unless something about it is done, it will grab your life and throw it into a little gray box where it can exert more control. And how much of your life belongs to you now? Well, that should certainly give you all something to think about. And I'm going to sign off and see if I can post this. And I'll see you next time. Bye.